Game 1 of the 2014 World Championship Final between China's Starhorn Royal Club and Korea's Samsung White. Starhorn Royal Club are making their second consecutive appearance in the World Finals, and they're the only team to have that honor. While their journey has been full of obstacles, they continually manage to overcome adversity and produce miracles. Meanwhile, Samsung White, who are widely seen as the pre-tournament favorites, they've certainly lived up to the hype for the first time, considering 4 of their 5 members failed to make it out of groups last year. This is a team that is now 12-1 after losing only a single match, having completely dominated the competition at this year's World Championship. Let's take a look at the two teams, run down the players, run down the positions, and we'll start with Free.
All right, so the top lane matchup here, of course, for Starhorn Royal Club, that's Cola. For Samsung White, that is Looper. And Looper is the most dominant player at this entire tournament. 12.9 KDA, the highest of all 82 players at Worlds. And he's not only crushing, he is unpredictable in a good way. He has played 9 unique champions in 13 games. On 4 of those champions, he hasn't even died yet. He is 26, 0, and 37 on Rise, Alistair, and Kasten, and Akali. He's added Assassins to his champion pool suddenly. This is a player who never turned heads back in Korea, but now he has stepped up, added new things to the pool, and he's turning heads so rapidly he's snapping necks while doing so. Against him is a player who's not quite as powerful here. Cola from Starhorn Royal Club wasn't all that special back in China either, but he's not really stepping up here at Worlds. Looper's played 9 champions, he's played 5, despite playing more total games. He's only got winning records on 2 champions, that's Rise and Maokai. So you can shut him down really quickly in picks and bans by removing these contested top laners away. And I think it's the matchup where it's Looper running circles around his opponent and Cola falling flat.
Yeah, but looking at this too, I mean, when we compare like GPM up in the top lane, Looper's about 70 up on Cola at this point. That is a massive GPM difference. Certainly a lot of this is coming because they have been so dominant in their wins and the games have been shorter, but that's a lot more resources to carry out of the top lane.
And I just want to take a trip down memory lane. When we were coming into this tournament, what did we expect from top lane? Boring, tanky champions. All the attention was focused on bot lane. And who surprised? Looper did. He showed us you can play those tanky champions in a non-boring way. He showed us exciting assassin picks, and I don't even want to know what he's ready for this final.
Yeah, and as we go into this tournament too, we've seen some of those unique picks coming up in the jungle too. Of course, in the semis, our first Pantheon from Insect, our first Fiddlesticks from Insect. And let's talk about Dandy and Insect now. Both of these guys have had a standout tournament. You can see Dandy having the higher KDA. Both of these guys favor that Lee Sin and that Rengar. Both of them are 2-0 on Rengar. We've seen a lot of bans targeted at Insect in that category. And man, is Dandy good at Lee Sin. 15 KDA and 4-0 on that champion. He's going to be a major threat right there. And when we talk about these players' styles and the differences between them, Insect is more of a catalyst for Royals' playmaking ability. You see him doing those big flash crow storms into turret dives that we saw earlier on. Whereas Dandy, he's the researched one. He's the calculated one. We call him a counter jungler. More than a jungler, we call him the Prince of Thieves because of how he steals objectives. His buff control has been ridiculous. He's got nearly triple the number of buffs stolen that Insect has from the enemy side of the jungle.
And I think when you talk about Insect, him being this flashy playmaker, trying to get lanes going, I think that is crucial for Starhorn Royal Club to tilt the mid lane matchup, and that is Korn versus Pawn here. And we're going to start again with Samsung White with Pawn in the mid lane. 11.9 KDA, he's the second highest in the World Championship, a big all-star player as well. And just like Looper, he plays everything. 8 unique champions played, but his best, I think, are the AD mid laners. He's 42, 4, and 57 on Jace, Yasuo, Talon, Zed. These AD mids have been crushing so far for him. He's even got 6 more champions that he played in the summer split in Korea that he hasn't brought out here. What's more, most of his extended champion pool he's only played once, meaning he's saving them for counter picks. He's saving them for specific matchups, meaning he's got even more prepared that he hasn't shown us yet, and he's an all-star right here. On the other side is Korn, and Korn is actually pretty consistent here. He's a little overstepped, but he's quite strong despite having a small and predictable champion pool. Half his games at Worlds are just on Orianna, but he's 6-2 on that champion. He's 2-0 on Lulu. He's got a win on Zillion as well. The support mids are working for his team. His assassin mids of Yasuo and Fizz are actually pretty strong as well. They just haven't quite turned into many wins yet, but this is a player who's been stepping up. Corrin had 80% kill participation in the semifinals. He was actually instrumental in their victories here. So I think if Insec gets mid going, Corrin is a big force.
And a tendency I think I've seen so far is that Pawn is the one that always ends up pushing his lane first to disappear, help his side lanes, put pressure, or get that objective control going out there. I want to see if that holds through in this series as well. The one thing, though, that Corrin will have going for him is that Pawn, one of Pawn's most played champions, Fizz, is actually one of a shared champion pool. However, the Jace, I don't know if they're ready for it yet. If they've adapted, we'll have to see in the series.
Yeah, the fact that Pawn is always pushing and roaming along with Dandy just means he can influence the map so much easier. So Cola, like you said, has kind of a bad matchup into Looper, and that can be snowballed super easily for Looper if Pawn just roams top. And he can also just hold Uzi down bottom lane, which is the lane that I want to talk about. The most interesting one for me is the AD matchup. I mean, I'm so hyped to see this because really, Starhorn Royal Club's only chance is really just to rely on Uzi as they have before. And I was talking to the stats guy. It's just ridiculous. This guy has the most kills of any player in the finals. He's got higher damage kill participation. He's got higher damage dealt than Imp across the board. I mean, we even look at laning phase, for example. Generally, we use CS differential at 10 to kind of measure laning proficiency. And Uzi has just been blowing everyone out of the water in lane, over 5 CS ahead consistently throughout the tournament. Then you look at Imp, okay? He's only really been ahead in lane in group stage. Since then, in the knockout phase, he's actually consistently been behind his lane opponent every single game. So it's just ridiculous. And the thing that you can't really even quantify past the early game, past the kill participation, is the X factor. Uzi can play when everyone has a target on him. Everyone knows when they play against Royal Club, let's kill Uzi. If he doesn't carry, we just shut him down, we'll gank him, our jungle will pressure him, our middle will roam on him, we'll TP on him, we'll do everything we can to hold this guy down. He's still able to put up these numbers. Then I think of Samsung White. They have so many threats. Nobody's really looking to kill Imp. They have Dandy, they have Pawn, they have Looper. Nobody's looking to just shut down Imp. That's how we win the game. The fact that Uzi can outperform Imp despite his conditions just goes to show how amazing this player is.
And that ties in perfectly when we talk about supports. If we highlight Zero against Mata, we always say how Zero is such a defensive, peel-oriented player because he has to, because everybody is trying to kill his AD carry. If we contrast to Mata, the god of supports, can peel equally well, but he adds another offensive flavor to that. If you compare them as well, they've both had good runs, but compare Mata's Janna to Zero. Mata has something of a 27 KDA in 6 wins on that champion. That is absolutely bonkers insane. If you look at the other picks, Thresh and Janna are just the ones that have been being picked galore, and I wonder if we can target that and just force them on champions they're not used to playing.
Right, and when we talk about these guys, of course, they've all seen that Nami, Thresh, Janna that you mentioned, but for me, it's interesting where their champion pools diverge. We see that Mata has been running with the Morgana, with the Braum, these high-engaged champions, whereas, of course, Zero, he's on Zillion. That's how they differ here, but Mata is the big playmaker. He's going to be much more dangerous on the roam in a lane swap scenario.
Yeah, definitely something we'll have to keep our eyes on as we get into the game. We are moments away, ladies and gentlemen. All of our analysts are predicting Samsung White will win this series. I want to compare that with how you guys are voting at home on lolesports.com. And according to those numbers right now, 62% of you are agreeing that Samsung White will win. I think there's no doubt that Royal Club are the underdogs in this particular series. We're about to throw over to the Shoutcasters. Freak, maybe some closing thoughts on something that Starhorn Royal Club can do to get themselves a chance in this series.
Absolutely. So first of all, Samsung White are undoubtedly the favorites here, and they are undeniably the best early game team in the world. Their average game time is under 30 minutes. They crush people, and especially from the early game. Dandy makes a bunch of plays. Mata puts the wards down to make those plays safe, and all of their aggression turns out well for them. They've only been brought past 35 minutes twice. Game 1 against Edward Gaming in the group stage, Game 4 against TSM in the quarterfinals. Neither of those games actually ended very cleanly. Their end game is a little bit sloppy, especially compared to their early game. So in my opinion, Royal Club, bring them late. Bring them past 35 minutes. This is a team who has consistently made comebacks. They have an over 40% win rate with gold deficits at 20 minutes. Royal Club routinely come back. We saw them come back from a 9,000 gold loss against OMG and win that game anyway. We've seen Samsung White lose games with gold leads. And I want to see Corrin play Ziggs to make this happen. It was his second most played champion in the summer split in China. Bring out the late game, bring out the stall, and then take Samsung White out of where they're comfortable and play from there.
That's right. I mean, you only have to make one of those big plays at the end of the game with how long the death timers get. And if you're playing these big wombo comps, you can actually snatch victory from the jaws of defeat, really. So, I mean, Starhorn Royal Club has been excellent at punishing teams for these mistakes and capitalizing on the throws. But there's a troubling statistic. I mean, Starhorn Royal Club is down 4,800 gold net across 16 games at 20 minutes. So they actually, in 20 minutes, they've been behind more than they've been ahead. And if we compare that to Samsung White, their statistic at that exact same point is plus 100,000 gold net at 20 minutes. So it's going to be hard for them to bring it into the late game, but if they can do it, they may be able to get a win.
I just really hope that Royal puts at least one engaged component in their draft, because if they're playing just protect the Uzi, Samsung White is a team that will not get cut out if there's no CC trying to catch them.
Yeah, and I've said this before, part of playing a perfect game of League of Legends is having perfect communication, and it's like Royal Club has such a limited ceiling on their comms. I liken this to both them running the same race, but Royal has like their hands tied behind their back. It's just a big handicap that they have to deal with.
Now, it's something that they have dealt with time and time again. We keep talking about the AD carries, the top laners, the mid laners in this particular matchup. It feels like Royal Club have an outside chance. How important is blue side in games 1, 3, and 5? As a reminder to at home, Royal Club won the coin toss. They will have first pick, first ban on that side. Freak.
I've never been a personal fan of saying that blue side has a big lead. There's some stat there. There's a small blue side advantage. But we've seen a couple times red side teams make the right choices and they pinch 3 roles. So blue side gets 1, red side gets 2. And I think because the champion pools are shared very largely between these teams, there's not like this one first pick that matters. The Ryze matters on both sides. The Rengar and the Lee Sin matter on both sides. The mid lane Orianna matters on both sides. The Fizz matters on both sides. So there's a lot of stuff where you're going to keep trading back and forth. Both sides care.
I think it, especially for Starhorn Royal Club, is not a big advantage to have blue side. They had to ban Alistar in every single game on both sides throughout both of their best of 5 so far in the playoffs, and they banned Zilean most of the time as well. They're not comfortable in that champion. Meanwhile, Samsung White, very comfortable on both. They'll play that mid lane Zilean, and so I don't see the blue side being a terribly large advantage for Royal.
Last thought, Double Lift.
Yeah, I think the biggest advantage of having purple side is the fact that you get the last pick and the counter pick, but I don't think Korn and Kola are really diverse enough in their champion pools to take advantage of the fact that they are going to get that counter pick, so I would give the advantage definitely to blue side.
So I think we do know the weaknesses. We know some of the possibilities that Royal Club has to bring it to Game 5, or maybe the win in the series. Let's send it over to the caster desk to get our games underway, and let's hear the teams tell us about their mindset going into the World Championship.
肯定会期待决赛，毕竟就能拿一个冠军是所有就选手的梦想嘛。
우승 이제 코앞에 우승이 있으니까 그냥 좀 재밌을 것 같아요. 그냥 재밌는 경기 보여드리고 싶어요.
我觉得我们队伍5个人都需要表现得很好才可以赢。如果真的要说一个特别的话，应该是我们的上单吧，因为我们在之前的训练赛中跟他们打，他们都特别针对上单，然后就会把我们上单前期就把它压制得很惨。
要想打败3星白的话，我觉得我们要去拿一些就没出现过的英雄吧，去打。
초반에 저희가 만약에 좀 변수 있는 픽만 안 준다면은 저희가 운영하는 대로 게임을 이끌어 갈 것 같습니다.
Hello everyone, I am Rivington Bisland III, and joining me at the World Championship caster desk are Joe Miller and Joshua Jet Leesman. Gentlemen, it's been a long road, but we're finally here.
And it's absolutely insane to be here as well. You know, yesterday when we first came and had a look at the stadium, I was like, this place is going to be off the hook, but it's just surpassed everything so far, and I just can't wait to get the games underway.
Exactly, and we were really almost emotional watching that opening ceremony. If anything is going to follow that, it would just be the 2014 World Championship League of Legends, honestly, because that is what we're here for, and we've been leading up to it the entire year, and now it happens.
And we just heard both teams kind of have in mind what needs to happen. Let's see if any of that changes coming out of Champion Select, because a lot of things can happen at that point in time. Let's get into the action with a look at our lineups. The teams flipped a coin last week after the semifinals to determine side selection for these games. So, starting on the blue side, it's Starhorn Royal Club. That's going to be playing in the top lane, it is Kola. In the jungle, we have Insect. Their mid laner, Korn. At AD carry, none other than Uzi. And coming in as support is Zero.
And of course their opponents on the red side for this one, representing Korea. is Samsung White. An absolute formidable team so far in Worlds. We'll see what they can bring here. They are, of course, in the top lane with Looper, who's done so amazingly well so far these Worlds. Dandy in the jungle, we've heard how amazing he is, his impact, and of course Pawn in the middle with Dandy's jacket today. We'll find out later. Their AD carrying him, and of course Mata on support. He's been a huge deal for this team this Worlds.
And Samsung White is a team that has just come together and really peaked at exactly the right moment. They've only lost one game in the entire World Championship, and many people are expecting them to 3-0. So if they can do that, it would be the most impressive run in a World Championship history of League of Legends.
And that's why you really wonder, you know, how is Star on Royal Club going to beat them here in a best-of-5 in Korea, in the World Cup Stadium, in front of their home crowd. Maybe the two Koreans on the Star on Royal Club team will be feeling a little bit of that local support as well. Let's not get things wrong here. It's a mammoth task for Royal Club, but I think if there's one team that can throw them off the game early on, it might just be Royal Club.
It's a team with nothing to lose, right? Because yes, they are in the final. Nobody expects them to win. They've squeaked past, honestly, the quarterfinals and the semifinals, and they're playing with house money. Plus, I've watched enough sports to know upsets do happen.
That's one of the things we have to expect from Royal Club, is expect the unexpected. A team that always plays off momentum. We'll see if they can get some here, starting with picks and bans. We went over this a little bit. We know we see the Alistar and the Zillion. Rengar will get hit against Insect, as it has been throughout the tournament.
Yeah, I was curious what White was going to ban, because I feel like they hold most of the cards in this championship banning phase. I thought maybe we would see a Lucian ban, because I'm expecting lane swaps from White, but right now they are more testing Insect's champion pool, much like was tested in the semifinals, where he had to break out Fiddlesticks as well as Pantheon. So 2 jungle bans and a Lucian ban.
So we did see Rumble go away. The Lucian ban we were wondering about, will they take that away from Uzi, force him onto something else? He of course has left Ryze open. It's also left Maokai open, and for me, 2 very strong picks early on for the top lane.
Yeah, Twitch is exactly what White wants in this, because they are so good in the lane swap game. Twitch is the champion for that, and they actually just end up trading power picks in the top lane, things that have been banned in the past. It is a good start in this champion select for Samsung White.
See that Twitch possibly means the lane swap. We'll have to see what else comes in for White. Insect hovering with 2 junglers right now, as Korn has that Kha'Zix, so they're kind of just buying their time, not giving White too much time to think about what they actually do lock in. Taking the Janna away from Mata would be huge to stop his roam in the early game and really create pressure for everything else.
I think that jungle pick fairly obvious at this stage. Rengar, Lee Sin both planned away. Comes down to Kha'Zix at that point. Insect, of course, has played a couple of different things. We also, as you mentioned, see the Janna there for 0. On the other side, though, this is what I'm now interested in. What does Dandy bring into the jungle?
I would have to guess something like Jarvan, only because he did have success with that in the group stage. He didn't really have to bring it out much, but that's what they're going to end up going for here. A lot of early game pressure with that pick.
Does have that single play on it with the victory, but a very strong victory, as they all have been for White. Like we said, under that average time of 30 minutes means they are ready to do business in each and every game. We'll see what else is locked in. Mata still gets playmaking on Thresh here, and Uzi may just go back to his Tristana. He does lock that in. Korn will bring the Orion in the mid lane, as we thought. So does the Jace round it out again for Pawn?
He has the flexibility to do pretty much whatever he wants in the mid lane. And I think White needs to be a little bit careful here not to default into this becoming a late game match, because they've had so much success with very snowbally champions, winning before 20 minutes and hitting very specific power spikes. I think Jace is the right pick for them here, because I think he'll be able to farm very well against Korn, and then they can set up their poke siege, but they do not want to pick a late game combo.
Yeah, I mean, Jace for Pawn has been such a star pick for him. 3 games played, 3 games won, 18-3-32, giving him over a 16 KDA in those 3 games. That is a massive deal coming into this one. Korn, of course, his big champion these World Championships has been Orianna, but we'll see how we can handle Pawn, because that's a big factor in this.
Yeah, in all actuality, the picks that Starhorn Royal Club have here are actually quite good picks for them. They're all champions that they have seen a lot of success on. Uzi played that Tristan Game 5 of the quarterfinals to really secure the victory. You know, they have a good late game core there. They're really just going to have to worry about the early game onslaught that Samsung White has been able to bring on their opponents and keeping up if we see a lane swap.
It's been crazy what White has brought to this tournament. Aggression, pretty much without preparation. You just find them in your face, and that continues to happen. They win the game practically before it's over, if you could actually say that. They have such a gold lead. It was 6,000 at 6 minutes on blue, and then even more at 10 minutes to about 20,000. It just multiplies so fast for them. And we'll have to see if Starhorn can actually match that aggression in the early game.
And it's very interesting when we're talking about early game. We don't have much of a big pool to look at how Samsung White lose. Only one game in these World Championships. It happened when TSM dominated the lane game and snowballed off it. Can Royal Club do that? We'll find out.
We will find out. The teams are loading in, and the first World Championship game is about to go live. Who do you think will win? Start sharing your predictions on Twitter by sending either hashtag SHRWin or SSWWin to @LOL Esports, and we'll check in throughout the series to see where the fan vote stands. I'm sure it's going to be going back and forth, but Starhorn, they got a pretty good chunk of it. There are believers, but the stats, they almost say different.
So here we go then into game number 1 of the 2014 World Championship Final. Starhorn Royal Club on the blue side taking on Samsung White on the red for this first game. What is going to happen? We talk about level 1. White have done really well at level 1 before.
And the biggest thing to take away from Samsung White's level 1 is how quickly they can draw conclusions off the smallest of hints. If they see a defensive ward early in the top lane, they generally think the team's going for standard lanes. If it's a more offensive ward, they're expecting a lane swap. Here, they have a ward to prone for the invade, and now we need to see how White reacts. They've had some incredibly effective level 1s. 3-buffing multiple people, taking 3 buffs at level 1, but they've also had a few minor hiccups because they do get so aggressive. But they absolutely have the upper hand here because they have absolute vision on Royal Club in the jungle.
A pincer to be had right now. 2 wards, or at least a ward, laid down. One's in mid. They see that Pawn could start closing up, and they're going to start coming around. This would be the exit path here for Royal Club. They're going to try to hit up for Pawn. They said, where did he go?
Oh my God.
Rush vision with the ball. Command move there. Uzi takes that jump first. Rocket jump is going to be down. Pawn goes in. He gets knocked out. That's the room prison to him. Zero's the first one. Zero's ignited, and that goes to Dandy to start off a lot of jungle aggression in the game. Royal Club's not done yet. Expect the unexpected. 1 down. They still want to go for this fight. Pawn fires a shock blast without the gate over the wall, and they're going to disengage with first blood already. 1 minute 20 in.
It almost looked like Pawn lost his mind there trying to go in before the rest of the team, but that small amount of damage he put down was just enough for them to bait that next kill. Honestly, I think both those players, Zero and Pawn, succumbed a little bit to the pressure of the World Championship. Those were very over-aggressive, considering at that level 1 juncture, there was nothing to fight over, and neither one of them actually needed to blow summoner spells. But because slightly better execution on White's side, they get the first blood, and they also send their laners top.
Well, the hectic start that we were looking for happens here in game number 1. See there, Dandy and Looper starting things off on their blue buff, as has happened with the jungler and top laner over the other side. Gives us, though, that 2 versus 2 top lane. Jan and Tristana against Twitch and Thresh. What do we think to this one, Jack?
This is actually a lane phase that I didn't really think White would buy into. Because of the chaos at level 1, they're actually having to lane Imp and Mata against Uzi and Zero. This is one of the few conditions where Royal Club could actually come out on top of this game. Assuming they can avoid the hooks from Mata, they can actually win this laning phase with a little bit of jungle intervention. This is a very good start for Royal Club if they had just avoided that first blood.
A lot of summoner used in the beginning of that fight, so they're going to be down for quite a big time here. We have Exhaust and Flash down for Pawn, maybe a focus coming in for Insec. Still has his Flash up for a dangerous play, but right now they're doing their own thing in the jungle. We're not going to see that swap and help to the jungle or any nonsense in the beginning of this one. Wards have already been laid down for very safe top laning here, coming in for Imp and Mata.
So Dandy was topside. Thought he might end up coming over with Zero not having his, but they're pushed to the tower. There's the stats for Imp as well on Twitch. 7-0. Absolute beast on this champion, and with them fanning away that Lucian as well, force Uzi onto his Tristana, which has had a little bit more mixed success, that's for sure, when you look down the statistics.
I'm actually still quite surprised that we're seeing this 2v2 in the top lane, but as the lanes are playing right now, Imp and Mata are doing very well with Twitch Thresh. So as long as they can get out of that laning phase and pull a little bit ahead with Twitch Thresh, they're going to be completely okay, because the other lanes, the solo lanes in particular, should completely outperform. If we compare how well Pawn and Looper have played in this World Championship to Korn and Cola, who have played okay, but nowhere near the level of Pon and Looper. The lane phase really favors White here, adding to the first blood.
And White already makes the move. That back, we have to also note, that was 1 kill to Dandy, but 3 assists down Pawn, Imp, and Mata. So they go back quick after having a bit of a CS lead to buy. CS is a bit evened up now, but now to the bottom lane for Imp and Mata.
Yeah, and this is more of what we expected. They are reactively swapping. They knew that they had a nice start to shove Uzi and Zero into that lane, and now they're going to be all about getting map control and making moves faster than Royal Club can react to them. When we watched that semi-final against Samsung Blue, it was so fast. I had to watch it again and again to catch all the little things that White was able to do. They really are the fastest playing League of Legends team in the world, and that excels in lane swap scenarios where there are more decisions to be made, that speed has a larger benefit for you.
And we saw there the impeccable timing from White. They see the recall in bottom side. They go through into the enemy jungle knowing they'll have the numbers advantage there. They get full vision control.
That's the biggest thing there, Joe. Because they recalled first and initiated the swap, they get the vision, and there's a dive.
The dive is straight onto Corny. Opponent tanked up the turret. One more hit will come in, but he survives that one. And again, Dandy coming around the side, but it was basically a one-on-one play, which Pawn is so good at.
Yeah, and honestly, the end of that play started a minute and a half ago when the duo lane recalled from the top lane, because that prompted Uzi and Zero to go back, which prompted time to get vision control in the jungle, which allowed Dandy to turret dive, knowing that a counter gank could not be there because he came from a place of absolute vision. It is just Samsung White working in synchrony as they have the entire World Championship.
Ridiculous aggression and calculation. Pawn's flash and exhaust both being ready, not ready, exhaust was, but he couldn't flash out of that. They knew what they needed to do, and this is what Samsung White continues to do, is push small advantages, and they become very big, very fast.
It's incredible to watch right here, but honestly, the game is obviously not over. It's just 2 kills. Royal Club needs to adjust to the speed of this match. They need to be able to make their own aggressive moves. If you play on the back foot against Samsung White, as we've seen Blue tried to do just for a little bit, you get absolutely crushed.
So this mid lane then, after Korn went down, obviously takes no genius to realize that Pawn is going to be starting to get a big advantage there. Tia, almost a brutalizer done for him as well. There was a pink ward put down, so Royal Club actually have the 3 pink wards across the map, but did you see the pings there? They've literally just pinged on all 3 pink wards, one after the other to clear out.
Yeah, one amazing thing that I find watching Samsung White games is, yes, we talk about the communication they must all have, but honestly, one person or even 2 people cannot communicate the team-wide movements that they make. It's because they've played the same style for so long, everyone contributes, and it's more about them all being on the same page. The ward control and the vision on this map has already deeply invaded Royal Club's personal space, so there's no way Royal Club is comfortable right now in any of their lanes, really, because they don't have jungle control, they don't necessarily have CS leads, they've already been dove in the mid lane 5 minutes into the game. Things are not going well for Royal, and that means they can't react to the next play that White decides to make.
Saw just a minute ago the combination of Pawn and Dandy giving each other help to clear one of those pink wards that now Mata is in that area for. And another thing we see Dandy doing, if he does well or doesn't do well, is rushing those mobility boots to continuously make plays.
Yeah, and it's just so he can get more control, place more wards, make it to more ganks. With the early level 6, expect some fireworks.
And again, we see Dandy and Mata going completely unchecked towards mid lane. Korn, he's got no flash available here. There is the vision on Mata though, and Korn walking back at the perfect time there just to make sure that they don't just collapse in on top of him. Once again, a good accelerated shock blast, and honestly, this may even open up a push towards Dragon if they can get Korn out of there. They know, however, though, that Uzi and Zero are both in that bottom lane still. That's a danger for them.
A huge tribute to Uzi here as well, being by himself in lane, but against 2. Usually that's just the solo lane for him, and he's still only down 1 CS. That was a few more a second ago, but as it crashes into the turret, even without Mata, he's able to stay strong by himself. The harassment still coming out of Pawn in the mid lane. Now with both summoners up, we could probably see something happening again there.
Yeah, but one thing that Royal Club is probably pretty happy about is Uzi has not been attacked. surprisingly, the focus has been on the mid lane of Royal Club, and now the top lane. The solo lanes are actually what White has decided to target. Cola is in a whole heap of trouble.
That's going to be a big hit.
Oh, this is really bad. Corn's come up from the mid lane as well. There was the teleport coming in. Corn, he may just be going down on this one. Who's tanking up the turret? It was Corn. He flashes away, and he gets out of range just in time. 3 men low, but they get their 2 kills.
These are actually the 2 biggest mismatches in this series. The top lane, mid lane of White versus Royal Club, and it is showing here via the help of Dandy and the teamwork they are showing. Constantly having Ryze and Orianna pushed into their turrets is allowing White to make the aggressive moves. Pretty much all of their kills, save the first blood, have been from turret dive situations. Nothing is safe, and it is completely unexpected because everyone expected them to attack Uzi. Seeing this one again, it was just Cola dying at the right time, and then just really great exhaust use to make sure the shockwave couldn't finish them off, and turret dancing right there. Each one of those guys, if they take 1 extra turret shot, would have fell, but it's still flawless thus far, 4 kills to 0.
Royal Club still not giving up here. They're trying to make plays on top of being behind. It's only 2K right now, but Dragon looks like it could be on the horizon, very much so, for Samsung White, and that's going to catapult them even more into the lead. Pawn starts building up the Brutalizer. It'll be a Last Whisper next as he gets that damage going. The tier already stacking in that sense, and Looper's almost finishing that Rod of Ages to charge up as well. The wards to be cleared out here. It looks like they know they'll have the control to start on this Dragon quite soon.
Yeah, the one thing that Royal Club can hope for here is a messed up Dragon by White where they take a little bit too much damage, and if Corn can somehow land a nice shockwave in there, but the pressure is just ever relenting. They can't focus on anything because everything is getting pressured.
Well, one thing that we didn't touch on too much is the fact that Corn went with that teleport there in the mid lane, something that you've just got to make plays on. I mean, if you don't take the ignite in there, a heal in there, even a barrier in there, whatever, you still have to make use of this teleport, and so far he's made a use of it once. He went to the top lane too late, ended up dying. They get 2 kills from that. We'll see what that teleport really turns into a little bit later on, and you can see that Pawn moving up already. Saw already though that Cola was walking back and realized he's probably on top of a ward there.
And in theory, having double teleport on your solo laners can also help out your bottom lane even more because you can collapse your entire team there in an instant. It'll also help you catch up if the other team rotates faster than you. But even with the catch-up mechanics, they didn't have enough raw power to take down Samsung White as they were diving their turrets. I'm actually very impressed, once again, with Samsung White's focus in this game, actually attacking Cola and Corn and leaving Uzi to his devices, knowing that he's on Trist, knowing that that won't become scary until very late in the game, and focusing on not letting it get to that point.
We see this numerous times from White. They know they're so far ahead. They say, if you want it, we'll force you into a fight. We could probably ace as well, but Royal Club knows they need to stay off this one, continue to farm. Insec is 63 to 46, but he doesn't have the 3 kills and an assist that Dandy has, so he still needs to get himself built up here, only with the Lizard Elder. That puts the gold at about 3,000 up, 4-0 here. Still waiting for Uzi to make a lot of plays. Like we said, expect the unexpected. We've seen him jump into fights to start them. There's 0 on the backside still.
This is a statistic that we heard earlier on the analyst desk, that if you look at their gold at 10 and then at 20, there's a massive jump up that's not just a similar double, because they go in that phase of the game straight into objective control and really bring that early lead into a massive mid-game lead, which is then so difficult to get away from. Currently, if we look down some of these lanes, some of the items that have been built up as Insect just waits there to maybe get involved in the bottom lane. Jace is the one that you have to look to. Pawn 103, Brutalizer, Pickaxe, and that tier already stacking for a good while now already.
Yeah, it's a 371 of 750 already at 13 minutes in this match. Plus, he's sitting on over 1,500 gold. They're using that acceleration gate and the boots of mobility to just completely outmaneuver Royal Club. The mid lane has been devastated, which is allowing Pawn absolute freedom on this map. I mean, they're actually beyond the ward line of Royal Club right now. They warded the lane in the river, and they're inside the jungle, which isn't giving anyone anywhere to go.
Just about everybody on White has freedom of the map right now, are still placing deep wards in towards the Wolves. And it looks like Uzi's going to do what they can with Zero here to push this top lane as fast as possible. Try to return a turret back, get some objective gold in. They're already going to be stopped, and this could be a play if decides not to come out of stealth with the aggression, but just to hold them off from getting the turret.
Oh, but he may well do soon. Blade of the Ruin King is done for him, and that's traditionally when he's really got involved as Uzi. Actually using his ultimate. There is a Blade of the Ruin King used from him. Gonna try and get in there. Zero will have to bring the Monsoon down. It's all gonna be about the hook from Mata. Good Howling Gale. Mata's hook was on cooldown there for a little while longer anyway, and they walk away, taking out the first turret for Star Royal Club here.
And that was the only place on the map that White hadn't attacked. Now, Royal Club trying to turn that into a larger strength. Flash away, they hook him in.
Could be Imp getting a kill here. That Blade of the Ruin King is down, so they don't have too much more catch potential, but they do have Pawn coming down. What a shot!
There we go.
From Pawn. Here comes the next two, Dandy and Looper. That wasn't even a teleport coming in from Looper. It's still up. That was just him walking on down. The timing from White has been impeccable already.
And with the mid lane turret being taken down so early by White, they have the freedom of both junglers. Korn has been pushed onto his back foot, and it is allowing Samsung White to attack any point of the map they want. They have more map control, they have more movement speed, and they have quicker decision making, which is leading to this 6-0, 5,000 gold, 15-minute lead.
Pawn deadly accurate with that shot. We're going to watch that one again, starting with Mata flashing into the hook on Insect.
Yeah, and he was just getting out of execution range from Uzi, but the whole time he was planning on turning this one around because all 5 members of Samsung White were there. That small minion gave him vision to line up his shock blast, and the rest of the team just piled on for some easy kills.
Red buff now to Pawn. He can even go for the 1v1s, which he loves so much with that. And we're going to see if Royal Club can start to answer back at all. Now completely on the back foot, we said about that 5,000 gold behind. They need to start getting the forward wards out. Not need to, but it would definitely help here. Zero staying with the team though right now. They will have to protect Uzi if he is going to be the one to start getting the carry. Static shift to start so they can stop some of these waves from crashing into their turrets. We know White for their impeccable wave control as well.
Wow, and there is another shot blast coming through the acceleration gate, and well, killing spree now for Pawn. Once again though, it's Imp that actually got that one started, coming in stealth, using that Blade of the Ruin King to get in going. And wow, just a bit of a destruction right now. Pawn absolutely on fire with Jace.
And what do you really do? This is something that Samsung White has been able to do against every team at the World Championship. Another dive!
Oh, there's the moving from Mata. Monsoon using the back. There's the kill coming down. First one of the game from Royal Club. But what will it cost them? Zero goes down. They trap in Kohler as well. Only an Uzi and a Korn to survive it. And now they go back, say thank you for the turret as well. We'll run away. It was only Mata that went down for Samsung White.
And they get 2 more kills on the backside. First blood in a sense for Royal Club, but is on the support. It goes to the mid laner, and they lose yet another turret. 4 turrets to 1, and still completely on their back foot. This is what Samsung White does to teams.
Well, even the White himself is in the lane.
He's helping out. He's helping out a little bit.
It's what we've seen from White throughout all of their games from the tournaments is this skirmish team that also has that pick potential to come in and just keep eating people alive. We see it here from both sides. They create another pincer.
And this could have been a whole lot more worse if Dandy didn't get Shockwave out of his EQ combo. That slowed down the initiation from Samsung White, but you can see it's just a full pylon. They are very tanky and very willing to all go in on the same page. It's at 15 minutes. A lot of the old criticisms against Samsung White were the fact that they would get over-aggressive in games. They would become overconfident. They're playing with a whole bunch of confidence now, but it's merited because they are picking champions that better fit that style. Jace is strong right now and will continue to be strong. It's not like they're making moves before they are powerful, and that's why it's working so well.
And it's incredible because we saw with 4 of these members that confidence was what actually really kicked them out of the tournament last year. They got too overconfident, and they didn't really respect the power of other teams. They've seemed to be able to level that confidence out and use it to just keep going forward, keep pressuring aggression, here more ward control to come in, and they're gonna have no problem, an uncontested drag.
While we're on the confidence topic, I mean, the way that Samsung White have got to this final makes it harder for whoever would have met them, because you just look at their games and you say, how in God's name do we beat these teams? They look so incredibly good. They're making very rare mistakes. Yes, you'll find 1 or 2 in each game, but not usually things that you can just jump on and say we can snowball the game from that point.
Yeah, and I think there is a distinct difference between aggression and speed. Samsung White just plays fast. Yes, they are aggressive, but it is all very calculated. They see one ward on the other side of the map, and that will mean they can make a play completely elsewhere. We've seen that time and again in this game. They are always having more people faster than Royal Club has. They pick boots of mobility up as quickly as possible on their jungler. I mean, Dandy had those at 5 minutes into the match. Insec is still yet to complete his, because at the moment, Royal Club can't keep up, so they're just trying to become as powerful as possible in very small corridors in the hopes of a brawl. But White isn't really letting them brawl. They're picking the fights when they want. That was a little crazy, though.
Mata gets himself into a dangerous spot, but do they want to fight? Looper's already there, knocks Insec away, and he makes sure Uzi cannot return. That's the buster shot onto Looper, and they've hardly taken any damage as they take over control now of the bottom jungle. We saw two of the, I don't even remember the name now. Scrying orbs, there it is, had to be up on the map. So they can get into the jungle right now, but
we don't have ward control.
They can't have ward control. Another hook from Mata. It's going to be everything that they need on Nicola, who would hopefully carry the game on Rise, or it was going to be Korn coming out onto Ori. He also goes down, and Pawn is going to be the one to pick that one up, and the turret for the team. Double blue buffs on people running into the inhibitor.
Yeah,
amongst the chaos,
they
can just flash everything.
They keep going on this one. Uzi almost getting caught up there, but they forced them off the inhibitor turret, which was the aim of this. 20 minutes into the game, the first inhibitor turret goes down. The first inhibitor will surely follow as well. Impact's getting a little low, but I'm not sure that they're done with this one. Looper went aggressive onto Uzi. The inhibitor does finally go down. Pawn will finish that, and they walk away, taking almost more kills there, but they get the first inhib at just over 20 minutes in.
And this is the start that Royal Club really hoped wouldn't happen. Uzi in particular as well. He is the only player in League of Legends history to play now in 2 World Finals. And he got 3-0'd last year. It's not looking good early on, but just taking a look at this dive, the presence of mind here, first they get the hook. Watch Pawn flash the shockwave as well. With all the chaos going on, the exhausts, the turret going down, the Janna ultimate, everyone flying everywhere, he sees the shockwave, flashes it almost immediately. Looper doesn't care because he's too much of a tank. They continue the dive, they have the presence of mind to finish the turret. Everyone is just on the same page with this huge lead, playing confidently, but the calmness that they are showing. Look at Pawn. He's got this expressionless face at the moment in front of 40,000 people in this stadium, and they're doing whatever they want.
And it doesn't look like it's going to end in the bottom lane. They go right to the top on the other side for the flash of Cola, but that was the ult into the flag and drag out of Cataclysm to keep in range and keep the kills coming. We can see into the minds of Starhorn a little bit, whether he wanted to use it or not. In that last fight, Korn did not use his blue elixir. Just too much going on. Samsung White is not stopping. Pedal to the metal now. Baron at 22 minutes.
And what a game 1 display this has been from Samsung White. 12,000 gold, about to secure this Baron buff. A small participation award for Royal Club to maybe get that second turret, but honestly, 13-1 with the Baron buff. This game will not last much longer.
And it's hard when you look down the performance in this game, number 1. Dandy, early first blood, doing things like he did there, flag and drag into the enemy jungle to cut them off. Cataclysm, it was flashed instantly, you think, okay, that's over. No, flag and drag straight away, even got the knock-up from it as well to keep things going. Mata's hooks so far have been absolutely godlike, and Samsung White, if there was any question as to if they would turn up here in front of this massive audience, they've already been answered. They look incredible.
And this is their stage to succeed. Honestly, they were so close throughout all of 2014 to winning an OGN championship, and they just couldn't get there. They were always something just a little bit off. Everything is coming together here, and honestly, they've always been a pretty fast team playing the game, but they haven't necessarily picked the right champions for them. Additionally, this is such a good patch for them, and it's showing through right here. This gold lead is insurmountable pretty much at 23 minutes, and they're just waiting to group up to finish the game.
And it's quite easy for White to succeed. Every time they win a fight, they're able to go back and finish another core item. We just saw Uzi finishing a Last Whisper after his Static Shiv. Pretty strung out for gold in that bottom lane. If he's going to be the carry, it's going to be that much harder.
He's pretty much done with that build, I think, at this stage. I mean, if you compare that to the Ghost play, to that Blade of the Ruin King, Obviously, Pawn's the one you look at and his items and you say, well, he's just out of control. Black Cleaver, Muramana is done there. He's got a BS sword on top of his last Whisper. This is a Jace that blows you up. Everything catching Korn out. This could be inhibitor number 2.
14,000 gold lead is absolutely showing. We know White for the lowest games or lowest average time out of groups, highest KDA, and they're showing us how it happens right here. On to Uzi, Arcane Smash, not a chance to think about it. He goes down from the hands of Pawn. That one misses. Not much more damage coming out, but Korn still down. Uzi's got 30 seconds. Insect gets caught. There's the Cataclysm. There's the takedown as Dandy gets another one for himself at 5:09. The first Nexus turret in 24 minutes. The second one follows through, and we're already on to game 2. 24 and a half minutes in. The Nexus goes down. Samsung White take game 1.
And you have to wonder how Royal Club could come back from that. Because from minute 1, they were defeated. They were spotted in their initial level 1. They picked champions they were relatively comfortable with, but definitely took a lot longer to turn on. Their strongest player, Uzi, was given freedom in the early game, and they were still absolutely destroyed. So White prepared so well for this, executed nearly flawlessly, and they're 2 games from the championship.
And that's one of the things that I like coming in here. You said comfort picks pretty much all around. Royal Club did get those comfort picks. Colo wanted Rise. That's what we were thinking at least, right? Always played better on it than his Aurelia. You have Insect on Kha'Zix, Korn on his Orianna.
Okay pick because the 2 jungle bans, but it's honestly still pretty good.
And then Uzi reverting back to the Tristana. You don't get a late game chance against White.
No, and that's the problem I think with going with that kind of comp. That yes, full-on comfort picks across the board in a way, but if you can't get to the stage of the game where that lineup is at its strongest, you're never going to be able to win against a team like White, who just did, again, everything by the book, making it look far too easy.
That's really what it was, and these games are not easy for Samsung White, but they make it look that way.
Yeah, exactly.
They haven't had a weak road here. They've just made their opposition
That's what a lot of people thought.
Look worse. They've actually played against, in the group stage, the #1 seed from China. In the quarterfinal, the #1 seed from North America. Semifinal, the #1 seed from... How much harder do you want their scale to get? But they're making it look easy. They are completely on course to get 1 loss in the entire World Championship if this game is any indication.
And we may see those picks come out once again, the early game Assassins. That's the only reason they lost that game. They fell behind, TSM snowballed it, but I don't think they'll make that mistake again. They adapt so quickly, and we saw versus Blue, we haven't even seen everything they've been able to bring to the table.
I think the fact is that Royal Club have to do something completely off the wall different here. We've seen time and time again how well Samsung White control these games, how they start off with a little lead somewhere on the map, and it ends up with a massive lead across the entire map. You've got to throw them off their game.
It's going to be really hard to throw them off their game here because they themselves said they really got past a barrier when they defeated Samsung Blue, and it could just create them to play even better League of Legends, and that's what we're seeing right now.
Well, we know there's the Royal Club curse. They win the first 2 games, they'll never take it, but if they don't, maybe they can come back in the end. So right now we're going to throw it over to our guys at the analyst desk for a breakdown on Samsung White's commanding win.
Thank you very much, Riv. I think ever the optimist, that is a terrifying start to the series if you are a supporter of Royal Club. I want to kick this off very quickly. That was the fastest first blood in the 2014 World Championship. Samsung White secured it and then just continued to steamroll over Royal Club.
Yeah, so they won 5 minutes faster than their average, which is already the fastest average in Worlds. They are still the best early game team in this, and it's not because they're outlaning their opponents. Specifically, it's because they're making plays with their team and beating up individual lanes and snowballing that.
Yeah, just as an aside as well, our stats guy gave me the heads up. That is, I think, a tie for the largest kill lead in a game. So plus 15 kills in your opponent. Let's get the picks and bans or the team comps graphics on your screen. Monte Cristo, you've got some thoughts on how these 2 comps played out, and let's get the ball rolling.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at this, you see that they're going to need a lot of time to scale on Tristana and Rise. And for me, the most baffling question is, why do you run a teleport Orianna? Because basically at that point, you've eviscerated your mid game. The champion with the smoothest power curve, the smoothest transition, is able to be dived so readily in that mid lane, especially when they got a teleport advantage early. On the other side, you do see Imp with that Twitch. He will hit that 1 item, Blade of the Ruin King power spike, and it was really all too easy for Pawn 2 after the level 1, and the all-in under the tower that you can pull when Orianna doesn't really have another summoner spell that's useful in a skirmish is pretty extraordinary.
Exactly. You saw Samsung White come out about one turret shot from dead in that dive itself, and that's a barrier or a healer or an ignite that Corn could have really used. And yeah, I have to echo what you said, what Riv said as well, which is why are you picking a comp that needs time to come online? This is a team that specifically doesn't give you time to come online. Pick guys that buy time, not ones that need time for Royal Club.
I share this thought.
Yeah, I was just about to say, what was the point of picking Tristana against the team with the shortest game time? That's like so counterintuitive. You would want to pick something like Lucian, like Corki, something that can turtle and actually kill the minions when you're getting 5-man by Samsung White.
I just want to highlight some of the beauty in like their map-wide plays because it's impossible to even catch that in a single replay. I remember this instance where top lane, the 2v2, they base on level 3. Mata has about like 300 gold. Normally people would say like, I want to wait for an item. No, Mata bases, buys 2 green wards, a pink ward. He runs down the middle lane. Imp goes down the bottom. Dandy does a camp. Once that camp is done, they meet up perfectly at the exact same time. Invade the enemy jungler. Pink ward goes down. Green ward goes down. Green ward goes down. At the same time, Looper on the other side of the map, he somehow figures out where his enemy top laner is, goes into the jungle, and then at the 6-minute mark, all camps, barring one from Insect, are warded. They have complete knowledge of anything he can do on that side of the map, and that's when the snowball starts rolling.
Yeah, absolutely. And with those pink wards too, it makes Insect afraid to even go into the bottom side of the jungle. They drop 3 pinks and 2 greens. Like you're saying, just total control.
Yeah, let's get the replay up onto your screens. That really highlights and demonstrates just why this game was so one-sided. All of the vision you guys are talking about was sort of leading up around this point. Monty, talk us through this play.
Well, this is the point where this teleport needed to be used properly from Corn in the mid lane. But as we've noticed, White is just making plays on the teleport lanes. They're leaving Uzi alone because they know they could snowball so hard off of this. So let's watch and see how this plays out. Because what we're going to see is Looper. Now, Cola knows something's up right now, and he's actually going to be able to flash away from the knockup on Jarvan, which is pretty good. But the teleport starts so late right there, and there's no excuse for it. Corn was in the fountain at the start of that. Had that TP been a little bit earlier, this could have been an even trade for Starhorn, and they need to make that play. You make a decision to get that teleport, you have to make that play.
Now, I have a question for the two of you guys. You know, we're talking about the vision, talking about all the decision-making. Pre-10 minutes, Samsung White were 3 minutes ahead in terms of their planning and their thinking. They punished the flashes down. They tower dove more efficiently than I think I've ever seen. Is that just communication? Is that planning? Is that natural thinking?
See, I mean, the beauty in that play that Monty highlighted there, it doesn't matter when the TP comes in because White will react in unison together and they will make the right choice every single time. If they realize TP is going to stop them and Orielty can just screw them over on that dive, they'll just back off, but they know exactly what their limits are, they know exactly how many tower shots they can take, and they know exactly when to flash out. It's just a beauty to watch them play League.
Yeah, this game really illustrates how well Samsung White shot calls on the fly. When they see that double teleport, they know double TP generally is used to snowball your bottom lane and protect your bottom lane from ganks. So if Pawn was to go down, roam like you said he would, and go down for the 4-man gank with Dandy bottom lane, they can double TP and turn that gank around so easily. They abandon bottom lane, even though that's like a really high priority player to shut down. They never gank that lane and just abuse the fact that there are down summoners in the solo lanes and just snowballed off of Corn and Cola.
And not only just the shot calling of, hey, what lanes do we go for, but the actual individual plays that we were talking about. We were talking about in the preview show as well, about a team has to kind of understand collectively, instinctually, what kind of plays work, what kind of dives work. There's no way they're saying, okay, guys, he's TPing, it'll be 3 seconds, okay, take 2 more shots. No, they all know their roles. They all know Pawn's going to show up, he's there in 10 seconds, he pinged it, he did whatever it took to make that communicated, right? You had Looper taking exactly the right number of turret shots, he knows Gil's going to come in. They're not, like, counting turret shots out loud. They all know their individual roles in this, unspoken, as a well-practiced team, and as you said, Double, if it's beautiful.
Closing thoughts, Crepo, just before we move on?
Yeah, just watch Mata's player cam and how much he's talking. I wish I spoke Korean because I would be taking notes.
Yeah, fantastic demonstration from Samsung White. They've definitely showed up to play. It's going to be an uphill battle, even more so for Royal Club. Guys, throughout Worlds, we've been asking people to share how they've been enjoying the action by tweeting photos of viewing parties to us at LOL Esports using that hashtag Worlds. And we've got a couple we want to just show with you. First one from @PopstarPaki is ready to watch the action with a League of Legend, Prolly. Next one is from @OESJinx. He says, this is how Worlds is at the Brisbane Mobar. And looks like a ton of people. Nice. And we'd like to give a shout out to the viewers around the world who are joining us via the Coke Zero viewing party and various other fan gatherings happening today. Coke has actually partnered with theaters, bringing the entire 2014 World Championship final to audiences on the big screen in locations like Seattle, Washington, Dallas,
Even Antwerp.
Texas, Marseille, France, even Antwerp, Belgium representing. We'll be checking in throughout the day for a peek at those experiences as fans react to the action happening here in Seoul. So, guys, we're going to see some of the fans at the cinema. I don't know. You're going to have to help me with this one.
Yeah.
Pate, thank you. In France, of course, they're looking pretty excited. Heading out Seoul. That's a massive queue, actually. Well done, guys. Make sure you grab a baguette or two for me. Have some cheese and sit back and enjoy the show. Guys, stay with us. The 2014 World Championship continues after this.
This is really bad. Form's come up from the mid lane as well. There was the teleport coming in court. He may just be going down on this one.
That Blade of the Rune King is down, so they don't have too much more catch potential, but they do have Pawn coming down. What a shot! There he is from Pawn. Here comes the next two.
And they're doing whatever they want.
And it doesn't look like it's going to end at the bottom lane. They go right to the top on the other side. Or the flash of Cola, but that was the all